Hi, we had several questions about how to use breakout rooms. There are questions that are kind of based on what you're trying to do is recreate group sessions when you divide up students into different groups, and how you get around some of the practicalities of Zoom meetings, of breakout rooms. What can you do, what can't you do? So we're going to have a look at addressing some of those. I'm just going to switch over to a different screen. Okay. Right. So the basic problem that we have is that when you create a series of breakout rooms, what you're really doing is creating lots of little Zoom meetings. So they don't share the original chat and shares and anything else with the first meeting where everyone was in, the one you'll keep going back to and that you'll go back to in the end. So you've got lots of individual Zoom meetings. So they all have their own chat, their own sharing. It's obviously their own little group. You can drop in on each of those, but there's nothing you can do to all of them. What you can do is you can send a broadcast message with maybe some 5 minutes to go, or comments like that. You can put links in those, but on a lot of platforms, a lot of things like PCs, you can't click on that link. So you can't even send a link to everybody. So a lot of this is about preparing beforehand. I've got two different ways of doing that. I'm going to talk about a couple of different bits of software, and we'll show you those after I've shown you the two sets of preparation that you might want to do. So the first version, I would create either a Word document or a notebook on your computer that has all the instructions, so you can cut and paste those into the chat windows as and when you need to. Same with any YouTube videos that you're going to run. If you have images that you want them to see in the breakout room, you need to give them a link so they can click on it and find it. So you'll need to put those photos somewhere. So if you use Dropbox, that's a great tool that will create links that you can share. Or Image BB will let you upload a picture and create a link that you can share. And you can use OneDrive on your college system, but be careful about the viewing permissions, because if people are using email addresses or something else like that outside of the college, they won't be able to get on it. They also might have to log in. It just becomes a little bit more painful. So having put that list of things together, you can then cut and paste those into the chat windows in each breakout room as you visit. Or you can talk about those before you start, which is probably what a lot of cases you might all want to do, that and share the video across everybody before we go off. You go off and do set the individual tasks. The second way of doing that is to put everything in one place and to use something like Padlet, which lets you collect everything. So you can put your videos, put your images, put your text, and then you can basically just give them one link that they can go to that has everything on it. And you can obviously demo that before you go into the breakout rooms, and if need be, you can get them to go to that particular page as you visit each room later. So let's have a quick look at those little bits of software. Okay, so this is Image BB. This allows you to upload images in the top right-hand corner. You can upload them and then it will create a link for you. You can create things that expire, but that's not necessary. So that will then give you a link. I think if we click on here, we've got some options down here for, no, can I see it? Well, when you actually add the image in the first place, that will give you a link. Okay, I seem to have got a little bit lost. Let's try again. Big code select. Okay, let's just add a new image. So let's just take an image. Let's try this one. You drag it. So you've got a choice of whether it deletes or not. It uploads, and it gives you this link, which you can copy into your notepad. If you're using the Padlet method, which is the next thing I would do, the way I would probably do it, you don't need to use Image BB. You can just put things straight in here. So these are individual items, and you can organize them slightly differently. You could put them in different headings. This is kind of a stream of lessons page. But you can see I've embedded videos, you can put text in here, you can put pictures in, you can have links to workbooks or links to forms, which we'll talk about later. So this gives you a place where everything is in one place. So that's certainly an option. Okay, so now you've done your preparation. When you come to your first time of doing a breakout room with students, I suggest that you practice the mechanics first, and then do it again with the tasks. So I'm going to suggest that you create one big breakout room, and you put everybody in it. Let them experience a breakout room starting, and them suddenly appearing somewhere new, and then you joining them. Explain to them all about the chat. Talk to them about sharing. If you're going to share, the same as with you need to know these things as well. If you're sharing a video, then when you share, you need to tick these little options so that you can hear the sound from the person who's sharing, and if it's video, so that it can actually look nicely when it's actually sharing. If you need to teach them that you're going to nominate one person, or they have to nominate one person to share a video, they don't all want to do it. So one person can share their screen. You can also point out the Ask for Help button, which is normally on the bottom of the screen, or there might be on devices. There's often a little. They have to tap the screen if it's a phone, or there might be a little icon that they can tap if they're on a tablet. You just need to tell them that then gives you a message, and you can decide whether you come and talk to them or not, or whether you come back later. You need to talk to them about leaving the room, whether it's timed or manual. So you can set a timer, or you can make it manual. I probably would manually close the meeting myself. You also can give them different options in this. When you create the meeting, you can decide whether they're allowed to come back to the main meeting when they're finished, or whether they have to wait till everyone finishes and you bring it together. So if you're going to let them come back, they have an option that says leave. It says leave and return to main meeting. If you don't give them that option, then you have to say, look, wait until everyone is finished. I will close the breakout rooms and you'll all come back. You don't need to do anything. So that's your two choices. Okay, so I would then leave that breakout room and send them a message just to show them how the messages work, and then I would close down the room. So as quick as that, they can have a bit of a chance to chat and try those things out with you there. So that closing that room would bring you all back into one big meeting again. Then it might be worth doing this as well, creating two breakout rooms, splitting them out into two groups, joining the first group, nominating them to quickly share something, to share a video, and maybe ask in a few minutes, ask somebody to press the Ask for Help button. I would then join the other group and then repeat that whole process, and then jump backwards and forwards, practice the asking for help, and see how it goes. So you've then got them trained on the mechanics. You close down those breakout rooms, and let's go to the next part. So when you come to do it for real, I would maybe show them the video, the task list that they have, maybe show them the Padlet, explain everything, obviously check their understanding, that's all what they've got to do, get them to nominate their video sharer. Remember that's their first thing they might need to do. If you're going to share a video in the breakout room, so it might be easier to do it beforehand. If they are going to share videos in the breakout room, get it to be somebody who's got a PC, not a phone or a tablet, I should say, because it's much easier to do on a PC or a Mac than it is on a phone or a tablet. So then create your breakout rooms, visit the rooms maybe quickly at the beginning, just to check that they've got, in the chat, give them a link to the task and check their understanding of everything. And then lead them to it. Then you can go room to room and monitor, and then close it all down when you've finished. Okay, another question was, how do you get some feedback from the students? Well, the low-tech ways probably are to get one of them to write it on paper and hold it up, and you can put the You can, if you want to, put the view into gallery view, and you can see all of them, or you get them to talk one at a time while they're holding it up so you can have a look at it. They can also take photos and send those to you. The high-tech method of doing it is to use something like Google Forms or Microsoft Forms. So you can actually create one of these beforehand and give them a link to it. That's the horrible long link. There's a video in the channel that shows you how to make those into nice short links. But we'll have a quick look at that in a minute and show you what one of those might look like. I think, okay, we'll come back to that in a minute. Let's just pause for a minute. Okay, this is what a feedback form, or you could set a little quiz, looks like if you create a Microsoft form. So I've just obviously put dummy stuff in here, but you could get them to go through this and submit the answer. That would then appear within the teacher's view of the form, and you can see all the different bits of feedback that they've created. If you're a college who has Office 365, you have the little waffle thing that has like 3 by 3 dots, or maybe 4 by 4 dots in the top left hand corner normally that you can click on. You can then look under more apps, you'll find forms there. Hopefully later there'll be another video on how to set up Microsoft Office forms. But they're quite a nice way of doing it. The quiz will allow you to allocate points. So not a bad way of getting a bit of feedback. Okay, another question we had was, how can I share something with half a group? So that you can then maybe pair them A, B, or one person in the group knows something others don't. You can do it. It's a little bit more technical. So I'll tell you how to do it, and if you feel you're able to do it, then great. Or maybe you can pre-send out information to students, half the students. Here's how you do it within Zoom. You would create breakout rooms and split them into 2 groups. Maybe give one group something quick to do or to discuss while you then go and talk to the other group that's going to have your secret video. So you just join the other group, join the other breakout room, share them with them, whatever you want to share them with them. Maybe go back to the other group to see how they're getting on. Close those rooms. When you see the screen for breakout rooms, it still stays there. You can then create more rooms to allocate people to, and you can take everyone from the first group, from the group that knows the secret, and put those into the individual rooms. And then you can take the people from the second group that didn't know and put those into the other rooms. So it is possible to do as a little process. And if you want to, ask me in the comments, and I will create another video if you tell me that that's something you'd like to see in action. So that's how a sort of teacher's eye view of how you'd use this in practice. Enjoy.